Are we live? We're live. Live from Las Vegas. What is up, all y'all who are tuning in, who are going to be tuning in? We've got a really exciting live today. I've been really excited to connect with my bro, Matt Bennett, and he is also another one of the contributors that are part of the amazing Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. And yeah, so we're gonna, hey, what's up, you guys? Just waving to all y'all. Morning, afternoon, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. Yeah, we're going to be connecting with Matt Bennett from Raw Intuition, an amazing individual. Really excited to dig into today's topic, talking about 5-star digestion. He's definitely got, here, I'm gonna wave to you. What's up, Matt? Come on in when you're ready, bro. All right, here, he's requesting, so let's see if we can get this right. We're getting him in. All right, here he comes. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good one. Excited to hear his analogies. He's got a really sweet breakdown of, you know, how he envisions the digestive tract to be working. So, Matt, welcome, bro.
What's up, brother?
Good to see you.
You too, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing very well. Yeah, Matt, you're definitely, you know, one of the people that are always in my mind. For one, I love your handle name, Raw Intuition. So good. So good. And I don't even think that we've actually connected too much, maybe in the DMs a little bit since the last bundle. But, you know, so yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about your book that you put in this bundle, and, you know, yeah, kind of like the inspiration behind it and what you're sharing. Now, your last book in the last bundle was 5-star salads, right?
Yep. So, I should change the title of it. It's actually The Art of Salad Mastery.
Okay.
And then
the
Power of 5-Star Salads is the subtitle, but I should maybe swap that or something, so it kind of fits with this one better.
Right. Yes. Well, that's sweet, man. So I don't know, like, you know, who maybe is in here or who will be watching who knows your story.
Yeah.
So let's, you know, dig into it. I don't have like questions prepared or anything, but let's just tap into let's freestyle it, man. Let's tap into like what was it that brought you to this lifestyle?
Great question. So I'll just give kind of the background story that that I give, and it's essentially, you know, I grew up like most people with eating a standard American diet, a lot of processed foods, a lot of meat and dairy products, you know, cereal, you know, that sort of stuff. So waffles, I loved waffles.
Loved waffles.
Right, they were good.
Did you put peanut butter on them?
I would do peanut butter. Sometimes I would do jelly or jam, and sometimes I would just do the classic maple syrup. So
with butter, yeah.
Right, yeah, butter, yeah. I know. So for that reason, is probably, you know, all those things combined is probably why I was such a, you know, I had so many health issues growing up. Had asthma, eczema, super dry, like my skin would like crack and bleed. It was so dry. I would have colds and flus often, especially colds, you know, several times a year. And then the big thing, so throughout all that time, I was always focused on, I wanted to be healthy, right? So I would look for, you know, from within my paradigm of what being healthy was. I would, you know, try and go for wheat bread instead of white bread, and I would, you know, get you know, the cereals that had the most vitamins listed on them, and get like vitamin waters and things like that, thinking that was, you know, gonna make me healthy. So I had the right idea, essentially. I just was looking in the wrong areas. And so that was kind of my mindset. And the thing that really tipped me over the edge was when I was somewhere like 16 or 17 years old, something like that. I started to see some more hair coming off on my comb and in the kitchen or in the bathroom sink. And I was like, wow, that was like the freakiest. Like I was so concerned about losing my hair. And so it was like the most traumatic, just terrifying thing for me. And so what I jumped on the internet and I started looking up all the different things I could do to stop, prevent hair loss. I did all the potions, the shampoos, the pharmaceuticals, all the stuff that you could think of. And the other thing I did was, because I knew that food had an impact on the body. And so I was looking up foods that stop hair loss and things like that, or prevent hair loss. And I came up with, all the mainstream websites that on the first page of Google, it's like chicken, fish, beef, all the high protein. It was just like all high protein stuff. But it did have spinach. Spinach was like the common leafy green that I would find in most of them. So, even though I was already eating all of those foods, maybe other than the spinach, but I was definitely eating all the animal products and dairy products. So I just started getting into the habit of eating more spinach, mostly, back at that time. Make big salads full of spinach and all the animal products still. And so it didn't fix my problem, but the thing was that it got me into a habit of eating greens. And I think it changed my palate, my taste buds, and got me to enjoy eating leafy greens a lot more than I previously did. So, it wasn't for several years later till I discovered the actual, true blueprint of a healthy salad, but it got me on that path. And so that was a good thing for me. And, it wasn't until about the age of 25 that I came across, because this whole time since, high school till I was 25 when I discovered this lifestyle, I was constantly searching for, solutions to my hair and just to be healthy. I just wanted to be healthy. I liked working out and things like that. So, I was just always kind of searching for stuff. And one day I came across an internet radio program that was talking about juice fasting. And so my intuition for, the little bit that I was connected to it at that time, it was like, you got to try this. And so I gave it a shot. I was going to just do like a few days, like 2 or 3 days. So I ran to the grocery store and got all the fruits and vegetables I could find that I could juice. Started juicing, and 3 days came along and I was like, wow, I am feeling really good. And so like I felt more energy than I had ever had in as long as I could remember. My mind was clear. My thoughts, like I had really self-critical, like toxic thinking back then too. And I was just like feeling so much less self-critical. And I was just like so much calmer and happier. And so I was like, dang, that, like, I haven't been eating the high protein foods that they were telling me I need to be healthy and to look good and feel good. So I was like, all right, I got to keep going. I felt so good. I just kept going. 5 days came, 7 days, 9 days. And finally on the 10th day, I decided to end the juice fast. And I was so amazed at how good that I felt. I was light. I felt light. I felt energetic. Like I said, I was just like, my thoughts were so much healthier. And so that just clicked in my head. I was like, if I haven't been eating all the foods that I thought I needed to eat to be healthy, the meats and the dairy and high protein this and high protein that, high calcium, like I was like, I have to look into this further. So that's what I did. From that point on, I started including more fresh raw fruits and vegetables into my diets. During that time, I came across Dan McDonald, the Life Regenerator on YouTube. He was a really big influence on me. John Kohler, I know you're familiar with John over at OK Raw and Growing Your Greens, and Dr. Robert Morse. And so all three of those guys were really the catapult that I needed to get into this lifestyle and do it in a way that was healthy and sustainable. And yeah, so from there I gathered information from a lot of different other teachers and educators in this lifestyle. And yeah, since then, I mean, it's been a great ride, and I've just enjoyed the best health of my life, and it just keeps going. So I'm pumped to be part of this bundle with you and everybody else that are, you know, have also found these benefits to this lifestyle, and just love sharing the love.
Oh man, that is an incredible story. So it was like the hair loss that really started to make stuff. Yeah, that sent you on your quest, it sounds like.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing, because it just scared me. I just thought my life was over if I lost my hair. And the great thing is the raw foods really gave me that confidence. It detoxed my toxic thoughts, my toxic habits.
Yeah.
It allowed me to become aware of how I was thinking and how non-productive and how, you know, detrimental it was. And I knew that, you know, like our value isn't just based on our outer appearance. It's not based on hair or anything like that. It's intrinsic. You know, we have intrinsic value that we should honor, and that's, you know, there's so much more than outer appearance. And so that was like a big thing I took from it, and I gained the confidence to shave my head and be you know, confident in however it turned out. So that was awesome.
Well, you're a gorgeous human being, man, and you wear that freaking bald head like a champion. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. Yeah, but that sent you on your quest right there, sounds like.
Yep.
And from there, it's interesting, you know, how they say, you know, seek and ye shall find, right?
Yes.
And it's really interesting how there's so many things in our world that's inverted, right? Like you're searching and you're finding all this information. It sounded like, you know, like more animal products, more eggs, more dairy, you know, and these are the things that aren't necessarily the most beneficial to us, which once you do find, like you came across Dan the Man, you know, Robert Morris, John Kohler, hearing their stories, you started to implement some of these things, juicing, you went on the 10-day juice feast, feeling amazing. And it's interesting, how is this not like on the headlines of some of these pages? Of course, this day and age, the information's getting shared, like just this conversation is a part of the movement and the awakening, right? To understanding that there are so many things that are inverted. It's backwards. Like doctors destroy health, you know, you know, teachers, and not necessarily teachers, but like schools destroy education, you know, lawyers destroy justice. It's just like inverted in so many ways. Yeah. So really incredible though, that when you're seeking, you'll find it. And, you know, the information that you were able to tap into didn't scare you away. You're like, let me just try this out. And you felt more amazing than you had felt before. Now, how old were you when this was going on? When you started to make, when you did that 10-day juice feast, how old were you?
Yeah. And just quickly to add on to the inversion, another part, even within ourselves, is that a lot of times we see a challenge as something negative, when, like, just in my example, I thought it was like the worst thing that could happen to me, but really it was the best thing that could have happened to me, because it led me to where I am today. And, you know, I don't know how it would have played out otherwise, but it just goes to show that even though something might, you know, a challenge might seem like a bad thing, it can many times turn out to be one of the best things that could have happened. So it's important that we have that mindset where we're looking for the good in things, even though, you know, sometimes it doesn't seem that way.
Right. That's so true, man.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah, those challenges really, I know a lot of times those challenges come up, and some of them are really hard. They really, you know, we can go into some really dark places, but it's like we're being tested in a way, you know. How do you want to show up? How do you want to accept this challenge? You know, and of course, there's different trails that we could take depending on our choices.
Right.
And how awesome that you took this trail, man, because now you're one of those powerful voices out here in this movement, so to speak, which is so interesting, bro, because it's like, it's what Mother Nature provided for us, and this is the way that we're intended to operate. And so it's like, it's nothing new, but we're able to share, and build trust with our communities and our audiences as to how we operate, how we feed ourselves, and everybody has their little piece that they're bringing to the table, which is powerful, man. Now, how old were you though when you did that juice feast?
Yeah, so I was like 25. It was back in 2011.
Okay.
So I think I was 25 at the time. So yeah, it was a few years out of college, and I had drank more alcohol probably than good enough for a few lifetimes. And so it was, I honestly, even before I got in this lifestyle, or before I even had an idea about it, I was starting to really get, tired of the hangover several times a week. And I was just like thinking, like, one thing that I really admire about like grandparents and just older generations, I've always, since I was a little kid, I've always just loved listening to like my elders just tell their stories and talk to each other about different things throughout their lives. And I always, like, I was starting to think, I've been hungover, or I've been like blackout drunk for so many times. Like, what stories am I going to have to tell when I get older? Like, my whole memory is going to be like on Facebook, I only remember the nights from the pictures from the night before. So,
wow.
So yeah, I was just starting to really think about the actions that I was taking, and if they were really serving me for like a long-term, sustainable lifestyle. And
gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're 35 right now, is that right?
Yep.
35, bro. Right on, my man. I'll be 45 this year, bro.
Really? Man, you do not look 45.
Thanks, man.
It's
that spirit, right? Like,
it is.
Whatever, the body ages, the body can't keep up with the mind in a lot of ways, right?
Right.
But it's really interesting because, I feel like it's really awesome for the individuals who are young, like in their early 20s. I know there's a lot of people in the early 20s adopting like a healthy lifestyle, this, coming into a whole food plant-based lifestyle, or a healthy raw vegan lifestyle.
Yep.
Not necessarily having like the detox mindset of, purity and, want to cleanse all the time and detox, because that's not necessarily like, in my perspective, the healthiest way to operate. Like we're meant to just have fun, go play, go dance, laugh, have energy to do the things that we love to do. And, we eat because we need to nourish these avatars, right?
Right.
So how awesome that you tapped into this when you were a quarter century, 25, bro. Like, you're going to live to 100, man.
I hope so. Yeah.
So really powerful. And so the new book that you put in for the bundle, did you create that one for this? You created it for the bundle, or did you have it going? Yep.
Yeah, no, it wasn't really on the radar until, the bundle was announced that we were going to have one coming out. And so I was like, thinking, and actually, if Sherry's still on, I just had another live with Jeanette, and I should have mentioned that Sherry actually, because after the 5-Star Salad book came out, my friend Sherry, which I'm sure you probably know Sherry, she was like, yeah, what about like a 5-Star Digestion? And I was like, yes, because pretty much everybody that I've worked with, coaching wise and just like in my personal life, that we talk about health, digestion and digestive issues come up almost all the time. So many people are dealing with poor digestion, and there's so many different aspects that can be causing. I just wanted to put a book together that took in the dietary, the lifestyle, and the environment. All those things that can create bad or good gut health.
Very powerful, man, and so needed. That's one thing that both Liz and I really resonate with your message, is that's the key component. We have these different soldiers in our guts, whether we're feeding them, dead fleshy foods and, super highly palatable processed foods, we're going to be growing that, base of soldiers more than these guys that eat the fiber. And then you start to eat more fiber and you're like, these guys are upset because there's not enough of them to break them down. And there's more of these guys. So to kind of like start to build those good gut microbiome, is so key. And there are so many people that have digestive issues. And of course, there's so many different, there's different sciences coming out. I mean, I definitely feel like we've known about these kinds of things for probably 100 years or more, but it's really suppressed in a lot of ways because there's no money to be made in healthy, conscious thinking individuals.
Exactly.
So inverted, everything's inverted, right? This is where it's interesting. Like when you really start to peek out there, it makes sense that these concepts that the world is run by Satanists. It's inverted. Everything's inverted. So, but when we tap in, we find the teachers, like the saying, when you're, how does the saying go? Like when you're searching for the student, once the teacher will show itself when the student's ready, something along those lines. And so it's really neat because we can share our experiences and connect with everybody differently. Some people like rock and roll, some people like hip hop. Either way, we need both the rock and roll artists and hip hop artists out there sharing their messages on, how to operate these avatars at the most optimum level. And gut health is so imperative. And we're so highly focused on protein, and get a calcium and get the protein and, and it's just, we're inundated from this, with these messages from birth. And so we've been programmed through the TV, the programming, right? And the commercials. And so to reprogram ourselves to understanding that high fiber, we need that fiber, like, the indigenous cultures that ate, 180 to 100 grams worth of fiber a day.
Right.
Of course, there's no processed sugars and such. So their teeth were like really, really good teeth. And, they're real mineralized and they had like that superior gut microbiome, eating like, of course, they're survivalists. So they're eating like little bits of animal products, not like, where they're, nowadays it's like, your whole plate is steak and potatoes, so it's really interesting. Like you're saying, the digestive aspect, so many people have major issues. And of course it's, what is like flawless digestion? Like, I don't necessarily know if it can be achieved, where it's flawless all the time. And if we're chasing that flawless digestion, sometimes we can get ourselves into these weird corners of searching for this perfection. Because I wonder, sometimes I ask Liz, I'm like, gosh, if somebody was to be in my body, one of these individuals that are highly focused on having flawless digestion or, the detox mentality, would they think that, I need to cleanse because, I may pass some gas like, a few times each day, But of course it's nothing like it used to be when I was learning about this lifestyle and starting to incorporate more high fiber foods, because I was starting to grow these guys and they were like, they're kind of like giving me some fits in a little ways. You get bloated. And then there's, even still, we notice certain things that we eat, if we're eating like some cashew cheesecake, which is delicious.
Yum.
I mean, you're like, oh, I just don't feel as good as I did when I ate like a Tuscan melon or something rather, right? So heavier, but yeah, like give us your rundown, bro. I really love your analogy of the 5-star digestion. So give us a rundown and how you envision what's really happening inside.
Yeah, for sure. And just so people know, like, I mean, gas is a normal thing, right? It's the byproduct of the fermentation that our bacteria are, that's how they transform the fiber into short chain fatty acids and other nutrients that we need. Gas is a byproduct of that. So it's not like we're looking to have absolutely zero gas. One thing I will say is that when you're raw, at least in my personal experience, when you pass gas, when you're raw or eating a whole food plant-based diet made of predominantly raw foods, I mean, I could pass gas in like a crowded room and nobody would know,
Mm-hmm.
but when I'm eating like a lot of cooked foods, or if I'm back when I was eating animal products, I mean, you'd clear the room. So
Matt, what the heck, man?
right. So it's not having that purity mindset where I can't have any gas at all, because it's unrealistic, and really that wouldn't be healthy anyways, because you want to have at least some gas being produced from that fermentation that the bacteria are doing. So just that, just for anybody out there that thinks that having a little bit of gas is a bad thing, it's completely natural and not something to. It's just, I think the smell is an indication if maybe there's something that could be worked on. But anyway, so yeah, the 5-star digestion concept again really came from just my desire to give people the idea. And by the way, I do recommend people read Dude Food as well, your book from the last bundle. Great book. Very, yeah, you're spot on. It's really about giving people the whole picture of the dietary aspects, which a lot of the people out there promoting gut health, they focus on the food, which is good, but then I think that more people out there should be at least mentioning the other lifestyle and environmental factors that I just don't hear mentioned enough, in my opinion. So I wanted to put that all into a book. And so I came up, to create 5-star digestion, I came up with this concept, this acronym called FLORA Power. FLORA Power is the acronym. And so it's FLORA Power Protocol. All right, so the FLORA Power Protocol is 10 principles that I believe are very important for creating 5-star digestion. So FLORA, the acronym FLORA, those are the principles associated with building your flora, building up the good bacteria in your gut. Power, the second half of the acronym, is the lifestyle and environmental factors that go into supporting the flora and giving them the power to give out the benefits to their full potential that they're able to give out. Because a lot of times, people get the power or the flora aspect pretty good, but then they're not getting the full power acronym, those principles. And so the flora, the example that's pretty relatable, I think, to most people is, people are taking probiotics, supplements, fiber supplements, and things like that. At the same time, they're drinking chlorinated tap water, they're taking pharmaceutical drugs, they're using a bunch of antibacterial products, so they might be even if they're eating the best diet, but they're drinking chlorinated tap water, fluoridated tap water, they're using sanitizers all over the place, they're taking pharmaceutical drugs. These things are going to diminish any chance that those good bacteria that you might build up from that good diet, it's really going to impact their ability to stick around, for one, and two, to exhibit the powerful benefits that they can provide.
Man, that is so true too. Yeah, because there are a lot of people, of course, that are really conscientious in understanding that probiotics. We need these probiotics. You know, what are probiotics? And a lot of people don't know what prebiotics are.
Right.
You know, postbiotics, and so, you know, you're just taking a bunch of prebiotics, you know, live cultures through, you know, say, yogurts and whatever.
Right.
And, you know, it's interesting how it's not necessarily like they're not getting the power aspect into the protocol. Yep. Right. They're focused on, you know, they understand, you know, oh, we got to build the flora, but, you know, how is that, how else are we impacting ourselves or the environment? So the flora, you know, aspect is break it down for us just a little bit more, like flora and then the power. You know, FLORA POWER Protocol. So yeah, break that down for me.
Yeah. All right. So I'll give you the what each letter stands for.
Okay.
So FLORA, F stands for 5-star salads. So if you got the Art of Salad Mastery from the last bundle, you know, that's going to explain to you exactly how to create a 5-star salad. And that, you know, the 5-star salad, I think, is really important. Just salads in general, you know, you want to get the leafy greens in for sure.
Yes.
Plenty of leafy greens, and
that's the L, or that's still flora?
Oh, that's flora. That's F.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, that's F and flora. Yeah.
Okay.
5-star salads. The L is low fat, and in parentheses I put omega balanced, just to make sure people understand that you know, they want to be getting in a good balance of omega-6 to omega-3.
Very key.
Yes, for sure. Because omega-3s actually act as a prebiotic. So our good bacteria can take those omega-3 fatty acids and convert them into powerful short-chain fatty acids like butyrate and propionate, acetate. You know, these sorts of beneficial compounds can be created with those omega-3s. So, yes. And omega-3s are, you know, they're anti-inflammatory. So eating a good balance of that keeps that inflammation in check. Really important for gut health, for sure.
Key component right there.
Yes, sir. The O is for optimal combinations. So like a food combining mindset, and my approach to food combining, it's pretty simplistic. I try not to make it complicated or impractical. You know, it's just something that I think there's certain things that people should be just conscious of, you know, to help them make sure they're eating their meals or just eating throughout the day in a way that optimizes their digestion.
Yes.
Gotcha. So in the book, I've got a illustration of the intestinal tract, and I like to call it.
I love that, by the way.
Thank you. It's I call it the intestinal tract basically our digestive highway, right? So it's like a 1-lane highway that the food goes down like little automobiles, and the way in which you want to eat is so the digestibility of different foods takes different time. So like high water content, high fiber foods, they're going to digest the fastest. So like watermelon, very high water content, that's going to go very quickly. That's going to take a little, you know, the least amount of time to digest, like a race car, right? So it's like the watermelon race car is going down. You want to get those high water content foods out in front, because if, you know, there's no passing on this 1-lane highway. So if you put, and then so the next kind of group of feed automobiles I've got is like a carrot. It's just like the more dense, like vegetables and things like that. They don't travel quite as quickly as the watermelon would. So they're like a minivan, right? So it's not like super slow, but it's not super fast like the watermelon.
Yeah.
Then the next kind of category would be like the nuts and seeds, just the higher fat, you know, lower water content things. And fat takes the longest to digest out of any of the macronutrients. So So that's like a trolley bus, right? So you got the watermelon race car. You want to get those high water content, fast moving foods out in front. The minivans kind of in the middle there, and then the trolley bus in the end, right? So that way traffic is flowing smoothly. There's no accidents, no backups, no pileups. Because I mean, I just imagine like you put a bunch of nuts and seeds down your intestinal tract, and then you eat a watermelon or something. There might be a little traffic jam there because that watermelon can't get past the nuts and seeds while those are digesting, and so it's like a car crash, and you got fumes going out, so people get bloated, and yeah.
That is so killer, man. The bowel transit time.
Yes.
Yeah, and to keep it flowing, so for the O in Flora, so we've got the 5-star for the F, 5-star salads. The L is the low fat, keeping it low fat.
Yep.
Omega balanced.
Yep.
And of course, it's way easier to get more omega-6 than it is 3, so we have to be mindful of that.
Yep.
And then the optimal combos. So this is where that bowel transit time comes in. Get those race cars out in front.
Yep.
Then you can then the minivans and the sightseers are out next, and then you have the big commuter buses and the, what did you call them? The slow ones.
The trolley bus.
The trolley bus. There it is. Yeah, the trolley bus. Keep those. Yes, interesting concept. When we can think of it in that kind of concept, because it's fun to learn in like a cartoon way, or like, I mean, they say most of us absorb information at like a 3rd to 5th grade level.
Right.
Makes sense because of how we've been programmed, unless we're, living with, really amazing people around us and, homeschooled or whatnot. But we can get a good visualization of these kinds of things and how it works.
Yep.
And that's what I really liked about your description, because it makes perfect sense. So you'd basically be wanting to eat your fruit, your high water fruits and stuff first. They digest the quickest. They're going to run right through. And then you have your more leafy greens, your slower digesting vegetables, and then your fats maybe mixed in with them, because they're like the Sunday drivers. They're going to be pulling over, taking some pictures, and
yes.
Beautiful analogy, bro. Beautiful.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So, and that's basically, to make it super simple, that's what has worked best for me, in terms of like sequencing my meals. I try to eat fruit in the first half of the day mostly, and then the second half of the day is like the more dense, like salads and vegetables and things like that. So yeah. Okay. So
I love it. So now we're at the R.
Yes, R is rehydrate early. So I think it's really important. So one, for digestion, the enzymes that we're getting from our salads and our fruits and everything, they require a hydrated environment in order to activate and to help us digest our foods. So the enzymes got to have that high hydration environment to properly work. And so, I mean, not only that, the hydration is going to help with the bowel transit time. It's going to flush our system of toxins and just keep everything moving efficiently. And so making sure, and I think it's best to start the day with, I personally do like 32 ounces of water, just to kind of flush the system from the night before and just get my body in a condition that's ready to digest foods. And so, hydration I think is super important.
So key.
And doing it early I think is the best way to go, because then you don't have
so key.
I
mean, I feel like medical medium, there was he's got some info, everybody has really powerful and interesting information. It's kind of cool to pull different bits. And of course there was the celery juice craze, and people were having life-changing things happening. And it's, I'm like kind of giggling inside, like, oh, that's really cool. Like my brother was on the celery juice, we'd been telling him stuff for years or whatever, but he would be the person that would drink in the morning, bro.
Okay.
I mean, he's 10 years younger than me. Crack a beer and, you know, pull back a tall boy in the morning.
Yeah, sure.
So of course he's going to have life-changing alterations drinking, you know, not beer in the morning, but, you know, like structured water.
For sure.
And then of course some other friends who are like addicted to coffee, you know, because there's so many people, like what billions of people are addicted to what we like to call Christian crank, you know, because it's highly acceptable. It's widely, you know, it's available everywhere. It's super cheap. And it's just like dirty water with, you know, like a drug in it. I mean, I love caffeine. Like when I need some caffeine, like if, you know, when we moved here, I drove all night long. I had some coconut water with espresso in it.
Nice.
It was, you know, in a can, you know, it wasn't raw, but but it almost took me like 3 days to kind of recoup from how drained I was. And of course, you know, I wasn't on the sleep cycle of, you know, staying up all night, and we were just trying to get here as quick as we could, but it worked. But back before when I was a barista working at this coffee shop called Dutch Bros Coffee, bro, I would drink like 12 shots of coffee throughout my shift.
Yeah.
Coffee wouldn't give me a buzz anymore. It was like, it becomes your regular, like you can't really function without it. And then it's like, wow, this is a drug. And I started to kind of trip out, like, man, I'm like feeding people drugs and sugar all day long. And that's when I was like, I got to quit this job. Like, I feel like I'm not doing a good service to people who are like scrounging money, like people who are super broke or spending $6 on a coffee.
Oh gosh.
So it's incredible though. Like you're saying, when you start your day, the best way to start the day is to hydrate with water, because I mean, they say that just breathing, right? Just breathing is 16 ounces of water a day.
Yeah.
And then proper like organ function is 32 ounces of water a day. Right. And then of course, if you're moving around, like walking and talking, there's another 16 to 32 ounces. So we're like chronically dehydrated out there.
Yes.
Yeah. And so for individuals who went from coffee to celery juice in the morning, amazing difference. But the part that I kind of chuckle is like, if these individuals were to if they didn't do celery water, which is great, it's structured water. If they didn't do celery water and they just drank water, they probably would have had the same benefits.
Yeah, most likely.
Because they're hydrating rather than, you know, starting to dehydrate themselves first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a powerful aspect, man, is rehydrate early.
Yes.
I love that, Matt. That is so key. Do you put like lemon juice or lime juice in your water, or minerals or anything? Or what kind of water do you drink?
Yeah, so I drink distilled water. I'm a big proponent of distilled water.
How come?
Well, I resonate with the assumption that the body does not do well with inorganic minerals, which is what we get from any other source of water, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, it's maybe not the worst thing, but I believe that we should get our minerals from our food, and we should because when they're in the food, they're organic in form, you know.
Yes.
But when you get it from water, it's essentially like drinking rock, because that's where the minerals came from. The water travels over, you know, through the soil, and over rocks and things, and it picks up little elements of whatever. So you get those minerals, the calcium and the magnesium and all that, but they're in an inorganic form.
Right.
So they haven't been converted by the plant's system, you know, goes up the roots and into the leaves and converted into an organic form. And so I personally believe that we shouldn't be getting a significant amount of minerals in organic form.
Right.
And also the world is super toxic. It's unbelievably just saturated with our agricultural chemicals and automobile exhaust chemicals, chemtrails, and, you know, all the other things that people put on their lawns and things that go down people's drains. All these things get into our water supply and eventually into our drinking water.
Right.
And so I like the idea of things like going to a spring and getting water, but at the same time, personally, I mean, that's way better than tap water.
Sure.
And probably bottled water and things like that. But just for me personally, I just don't think there's a clean source of natural water anymore. You know, they find glyphosate in like the most isolated regions of, you know, where
on the islands.
Yes.
Yep.
Where there's no civilization or anything like that.
Right.
So I just do my best to stay away from those synthetic chemicals and things like that.
Makes sense.
If people are concerned about, you know, there's not any minerals in there, if they want minerals in their water, I recommend definitely doing like lemon juice or, you know, slice up some cucumbers, put those in it, let those infuse the water with that, you know.
Right.
For me, that's the best we can do at this point. But I'm not like a black and white person. I don't think that drinking like reverse osmosis water, or, you know, if you have to get some other, you know, form of water, just do your best to make sure that it's as clean as possible, you know.
Moving here, bro, the water is super hard. You know, a lot of, you know, calcium deposits and build up. Like, you know, when you wash your glass, you're like, oh my gosh, look at the glass. I'm like buffing it out.
Yeah.
So we installed a reverse osmosis, and actually we have a distiller coming because back where my mom, you know, she was battling kidney cancer. And so she was understanding, you know, and starting to educate us on the importance of distilled water. And distilled water, of course, is the next best thing, you know, aside from structured water coming from our vegetables and fruits.
Yep.
But, you know, because it's less work on the kidneys to have to process. And all of these minerals, they're being absorbed right into, you know, the cells. So, and it was just so disgusting, bro, cleaning the distiller. So we had a well, you know, this was in Oregon. We had a well, we had it tested. And like the guy who tested is like, oh my gosh, like you guys have some of the best drinking water, pH levels, you know, beautiful, you know, mineral. We had, you know, we still had it filtered before it came into the house.
Sure.
And then we had an RO system in the house, and we're thinking like, this is golden. This is, you know, this is beautiful. You can't get any better. And then we got the distiller, and holy cow, like the amount of buildup in that thing from our delicious well water that's being filtered into the house. It's going through the reverse osmosis and then distilled.
Oh, wow.
Still, bro, so much calcium buildup. It was gross, you know, having to clean that. And we would clean that thing, you know, frequently. And that's why I wanted to get a distiller here, because I'm like, we've got the RO, which is the next best thing that we can do, rather than, you know, we're not going to drink this tap water, but I'm not going to just trust the refrigerator filter, you know. And when you start to drink distilled water, in a way, it kind of ruins you for drinking other water, because you can taste almost everything. Like if you know, like we have a shower filter as well, because it's such hard water here. But yeah, like the only thing that's not filtered is the tap water in the sink when we wash our dishes with. But it's incredible the taste of these things, and we don't realize it, you know, unless you do switch it up and start to, of course, you got to make the connection. You got to kind of recalibrate. Because there's so many people that just they're completely oblivious to any of these kinds of concepts, and it's not like it's anything to be scared about. Right. It's just like, okay, cool. Well, what do we got to do? And that's why we have these devices and this technology out there. Like distillers aren't very much. Like you can pick them up for like $100-$150. And you can distill. So yeah, and to keep that thing running, it just runs all night, and you've got fresh water throughout the day. We ended up getting one installed. We installed it. It was like a 4-gallon one, and it had like a float, like in your toilet, that little bubble. So when it reached down a certain level, it would add more, and so it was just constantly going, because, you know, there was a household of us, and you know, a gallon at a time isn't enough. And my mom was like so intense with it. She would take the distilled water and then put all that through the Berkey.
Really?
So. But it was like I couldn't even drink other water. Like, you know, bottled water, you're like, oh, I can taste something. It's not clean as it can be. But yeah, like you're saying, you know, spring water, you know, better than, you know, tap. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, better than drinking out of the hose,
for
right?
sure. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's just about doing what's, you know, what's practical and what's available to you, and just again
totally.
being conscious of these things so that, you know, you can work at improving them
Yeah.
if you desire, you know.
Hmm. I mean, we're all gonna die, right?
Right.
It's written into the DNA and the DNA codes. These avatars aren't going to last forever.
That's
But
right.
what kind of a life do we want to have? What kind of quality do we want to have? And exactly, bro.
Yeah.
All of these different kinds of, you know, the different toxic chemicals that are being sprayed everywhere, what we're breathing every day.
Yep.
Yeah, the less that we can be ingesting, the better. And
Yep.
water, like we are a water-based machine.
Yep.
And so, yeah, what can we do to get the best filtered water in our system? Just so it's less work on our system, less buildup. And yeah, it makes perfect sense, man, in so many ways.
For sure.
So hydrate early.
Yes.
Super, super key. Rehydrate early. That's the R. What's the A, bro?
Yeah, man. So the A is avoid toxins.
Mm.
So eating as much organic as you possibly can. You know, not you know, overly sanitizing your countertops, you know, with bleaches and antibacterials. You know, you just the thing is the pesticides, the fertilizers, and you know, all those things.
Yeah, herbicides, fungicides, all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're designed to kill bacteria essentially.
Right.
And so if we're ingesting that, that's going to impact our gut microbiota.
Bro, we're made of more bacteria than we are human cells.
Right on.
We're like walking bacteria.
Yeah.
There it is again with the inversion.
Yep.
Now we see with the turn of events, there's hand sanitizer everywhere. People are I see the cashiers, every transaction, their hands are glistening with this stuff.
Yeah.
Which of course is killing the bacteria on our hands. It's making us, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's going to be doing us a service in the long run.
No.
You know, we're living in this terrarium. So exactly, like what can we do to remain the healthiest that we can be, but not necessarily be so freaked out, antibacterial everything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, people think we've been conditioned to think that we are separate from nature, and you know, we're trying to, you know, box ourselves off from nature. We're trying to eliminate any sort of life that may be in our homes that we're
Right.
you know, afraid of, and it's so unnatural. It ends up over time leading to chronic issues, and you know, in the short term, acute issues that people don't necessarily associate with, you know, they wonder why they're like stiff and they have poor sleep and they've got, you know, indigestion, never questioning what they're doing in their homes and what the chemicals are on their foods. So it all plays a part.
Hey, quick question, man.
Yeah.
Well, one, let's cut. What was the A acronym for again?
Avoid
toxins.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this Kangen water? I mean, I know that maybe it's a touchy subject to get in on, but since we were talking water and toxins and such, how do you feel about that?
To be honest, I haven't researched it a ton. I remember years ago, somebody had wanted me to like become an affiliate for it or something like that. You know, they wanted to sell it. And I looked into it just a little bit, and I don't know. I can't really say one way or the other, but to me, it seems like, I mean, seems too good to be true. That's kind of
Distiller, bro. $150, man.
Yeah. And I wasn't even really too informed about distilling at that point either. So, you know, yeah, for me, distilled water is the best way to go. I think it's the most affordable in the long term, and just the most reliable. It's going to be the most consistent and reliable way to get out everything that you don't want going in, including pesticides, including pharmaceutical products, including the chemicals that the water municipalities put in there intentionally.
Right.
All the stuff that gets through most of the filter systems that are out there.
Yeah.
And those filter systems, the minute you start using it, it's going to start filling up that filter. And so the filter has to be replaced over time.
Right.
And getting closer to that replacement day, it's losing its efficiency.
Yeah, and really they should be replaced every 6 months.
Right.
Or quarterly, like every 4 months.
Sure.
But a lot of times, we forget, maybe we don't have an alarm set or something, and it's like a year before you're replacing some of these filters. So of course, you're getting some of that stuff trickling in.
Yep.
I agree with you 100%, man. A distiller is the way to go. I cannot wait for ours to get here. We've been here for like 3 months now. I'm like smacking myself like, dang it, Nate, why didn't you get the distiller already? We've just been doing the RO, but yeah, man, water is so key. And of course, the best water that we can get is through, the melons. I mean, in so many ways, you could just juice a melon, or what we'll do is we'll blend the melon and then just squeeze out the pulp with a nut milk bag.
Yep.
And it's so delicious anyways, like structured water is so key. And John Kohler, of course, is, he geeks out in in incredible ways, and so it's interesting because he won't even drink water here. He orders water from I don't know if it's Ireland or something rather.
Oh, really?
Kind of nutty, yeah. But he does, he gets most of his water through, juicing, the vegetables and the fruits that he grows, or getting, organic fruits and vegetables here locally.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's so incredible. Well, bro, this has been awesome, Matt. I loved connecting. We have another live together coming up, I think on the 31st, is it?
Yep.
Sunday?
Yep, 31st.
Yeah, cool, man. Super looking forward to that as well. And, for those of you guys who want to tap in, Matt's book is a wealth of knowledge. And it's just super, super, all of these little tidbits that each one of these contributors bring a little piece to the puzzle.
Yep.
And it's nice to be able to have different people's, to be able to tap into different people's mindsets and how they can incorporate more of these delicious plant foods and this lifestyle. Incorporate, little tidbits into your life. And, it's incredible because here you are 10 years older than when you first started, and you're probably still tweaking and altering things, little bits, right? It's
Definitely.
like we never reach perfection. Here I am. I'm absolutely perfect. I know exactly. It's like we're constantly learning new things, shifting and, whatever, changing stuff up. But the overall message and aspect is to just, do your best, incorporate more of these natural foods into your life, right? Living foods, raw foods, and just kind of eliminate the funk that's out there, because a lot of these things that are being created for us to be addicted to the products and coming back for more.
Right.
And but it's not until you develop those taste buds that you actually start to mouth water and crave real food that Mother Nature provided for us. I know for me, when I switched, I actually could start tasting stuff that I'd never tasted before, because our foods are naturally, the product foods are naturally, designed to make us want them. They're highly palatable, right? Nutrient deficient, but it's high oil, high salt, and high sugar. And it just kind of it muddies the palate, where you can't really taste certain foods the same way. So that's another thing that's really incredible, is how you get your taste back.
Yeah, definitely. And those are some things that I want to talk to you on Sunday about your book, Alive. And I think it really ties in nicely with 5-star digestion, getting the sprouts and the microgreens in there. That's really powerful for the microbiome, as you know. And so it's so incredible, bro. And of course, for people maybe tuning in, it can be overwhelming in a lot of ways, right? Because we aren't really
brought up to understand how to prepare certain foods in a certain way. And but Mother Nature does it best. I know Karen Ramsey, she had, has her book, like, fast, raw food fast, but not fast food, know? And when I was working in the medical industry, I would cut a melon and I'd be like, here's breakfast, while a lot of my coworkers are running across the street or down to the cafeteria getting like breakfast sandwiches. And I'm like, dude, you guys, like, I'm already done with, I'm like almost completely digested my breakfast. It's taking you 20 minutes to get back here with yours, like, and, then of course to see the energy throughout the day, how you need that pick me up. We're constantly pulling for these things. Everything is like fighting in a way for our energy. There's companies are fighting for our energy, like, these devices and social media, where our energy is being pulled in so many different ways. So how do we replenish this energy? The best way is to just, of course, start eliminating the funk, like get off the coffees, get off the impure foods that we're eating, and just go back to nature. Nature, man, Mother Nature, like she knows best. She designed it like perfectly. But like you said, to stay as much as you can organic. We strive to follow like clean 15, dirty dozen.
Sure.
Certain things like we don't get organic, but we're not gonna. I feel like our mind is, of course, in a lot of ways, is very powerful. We can make ourselves feel sick, or bring certain things on if we're freaked out all the time, like like it's not organic, and it's
exactly
it's better than a pizza.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Completely agree.
Well, Matt, high fives, brother. I love you, bro. I'm glad that we were able to connect, man, and we'll see you here on Sunday. And,
all right.
And I'll repost this, and for any of you guys who are tuning in, I've got the link clicked here. I don't know if you guys have checked out the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle, but be sure to at least give it a peek, because I feel like just the holiday recipe, the collaboration book is worth $50 alone.
I love that book. That's amazing. That's such a great idea.
It's so cool, man. And another thing I love is just we're bringing people together. Like, there's so many people from around the world who everybody has their story, what inspired them, and how they changed their life, and what has improved, and maybe what they do different. It's so amazing. And hopefully this whole thing is just, how can we help more people understand the potential of what these bodies are capable of and how they can operate when we start feeding them properly, and follow the FLORA Power Protocol, man. I love that. That is so cool.
Right on, man. Thank you.
All right, brother. Well, we'll talk to you soon, man. This has been great.
Yes, it has. I appreciate you having me on, and it's always nice speaking to you, and keep up the good work. Thanks, brother. You too, and we'll connect soon. Okay, sounds great. Bye, y'all. See you, everybody.